As we all know, dungeons are an endgame activity in Destiny 2. Despite their extreme versatility and their difficulty, dungeons are one of the most important ways that narratives for the next DLCs are set up. As of Season of the Witch, there are a total of 7 dungeons: Shattered Throne, Pit of Heresy, Prophecy, Grasp of Avarice, Duality, Spire of the Watcher, and Ghost of the Deep. We're going to be focusing on the most recent 3 dungeons, since that's when Bungie started really putting the narrative into these dungeons, and they seem to be the most important for the upcoming DLCs. The Duality dungeon was released on May 27, 2022, as the Season of the Haunted Dungeon. This dungeon primarily focused on us venturing through Callus's mindscape. To sum up the story of the dungeon from my understanding, the Witness lied to Callus by telling him that he would be the last living being in the universe if he became a disciple. As we all know, Callus was the main villain of the Lightfall DLC. In the Duality dungeon, it completely set that storyline up. Even in the Lightfall campaign, it kind of shows how the Witness is manipulating Callus. It shows that he refers to him as Emperor, even though he's like 30 times stronger than him.
The final shape awaits. The veil is but the next step. You have all you wanted, Emperor.
I am glorious. Thanks to you, my witness.
Next up is the Spire of the Watcher dungeon. This dungeon was released on December 9th, 2022. This was Season of the Seraphs dungeon during the last season of the Witch Queen DLC. This dungeon was focused on breaching the Ishtar Collective to stop the Soul Divisive Vex from getting data for the Witness. The Soul Divisive essentially protects the Black Heart, which was originally purposed to replicate the Veil. And guess what? Protecting the Veil was literally the main objective of the Lightfall campaign. This wasn't that important compared to like other things like Callus, but still, despite it not being in like the main campaign, we still went to the Black Heart and Rohan's quest, Unfinished Business. Finally, the most recent dungeon released was Ghost of the Deep. I'm sure you could figure out what season this one was released in. This one is so simple that I'm literally going to explain it in monkey terms. They show Oryx's body. Savathun come back next season. You get where I'm going with this. It pretty much sets up the fact that big characters like that can be revived, especially by their ghosts. I also do believe that it means Oryx could come back. The Hidden had possession of Savathun's body, which are pretty much like the FBI of Destiny. But guess what other body they have? Oryx! In the Ghost of the Deep armor lore, it pretty much states that the Hidden came and secured Oryx's remains. This essentially sets up them being able to revive Oryx as well, because when the Hidden were in possession of Savathun's remains, they rezzed her. What will they do with Oryx? Who knows? But the common theme I hope you've noticed throughout all these is that they have each set up something. Whether it's something as small as just relating to the current DLC, or something as large as setting up the main villain. That is how important these dungeons are. And the main question is, what will the next dungeon set up? I had like a whole script for this area, but I've been just looking back at the final shape showcase, and I noticed something. The 3 primary enemies looked like Hive, Taken, and Scorn. In Lightfall, the enemies were Cabal and Vex. And guess what the 2 dungeons before Lightfall were? Cabal and Vex. I'm not one of the believers that Bungie says, oh hey, we haven't had a Taken dungeon in a while. Let's do a Taken dungeon. But I do think they're going down that route with the newer dungeons. By newer dungeons, I mean when they started adopting the dungeon every other season in the Witch Queen DLC. So I do think that they're going to start doing that. And guess what? Taken and Scorn have not been done yet in the newer dungeons.